So it's my pleasure to welcome Shekufeh Monadjem, who is visiting from Kenya. Shekufeh is a trained special education teacher, and she's the founder of From the Teacher's Desk, which is a YouTube channel helping parents and educators better understand and support neurodiverse children. Shekufeh is especially interested in how we can raise children, both neurotypical and neurodiverse, in ways that honor their inherent dignity and equip them to become positive contributors to society. So thank you very much for joining us. The floor is yours.
So I'm very, very grateful to be here today, both and to be able to share two things that are very important to me. Firstly, my work as a special education teacher. I work in an international school in Kenya, and also as a Bahá'í. And I'm also this talk will be sprinkled with a few of the principles and things that we really value in our religion. So when we think about education generally, we think about school, we think about math, science. Oh, sorry. Also, if you can't hear something that I'm saying, please let me know and I'll increase the volume. Please let me know. So when we think about education, we think about school, we think about the subjects, math, science, reading, writing. We think about listening to teachers and doing what we're told. But what we're going to talk about today is we're going to go a lot deeper into the concept of education. And we're not only going to talk about what a child knows and what a child is going to learn, but we're going to talk about who a child is going to become. We're going to talk about the development of the mind, the heart, the character, and the capacity to contribute to the world. As Baha'is, something that we believe in is that as people, we have a twofold purpose. So the first part is working on ourselves and learning as much as we can, educating our children and helping those around us to learn and educate themselves as best as possible for the purpose, which is the second part, of giving it back to the world, of the purpose of making the world a better place. So that's our twofold purpose. So from a Baha'i perspective, children are not problems that need to be managed, no matter what learning disorder they may have, no matter what issues they may have. They're not problems. They are noble souls. They have been entrusted to us as parents, as relatives, as community members, as teachers. And our role is to help them find the capacities that they have, because we all and all the children have a lot of capacity, a lot of potential. Find those capacities that are already within them. Now, remembering that a child is noble is really easy when a child is sitting quietly on a couch, being obedient, kind, helpful. Very easy. We're like, yeah, that's a noble child. But when a child is shouting and refusing to do things and arguing, hitting their siblings, melting down over their homework, ignoring the instructions, having a tantrum lying on the floor, spending too much time on screens, it's a little harder to say, yeah, this is a noble child. But what we have to remember, when we see children that are struggling, when we see children that, what we say, are misbehaving, that child did not wake up this morning and say, today I'm going to give my parents a hard time. Today I'm going to give my teachers a hard time. Absolutely not. A child is not giving us a hard time. A child is having a hard time. They are having a hard time, and we can see this through this misbehavior that we are seeing. And when we understand this, we're not meant to say, oh, my baba's having a hard time. You just do whatever you want. This doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean that we allow disrespect, that we allow avoiding their work, we allow aggression, and we take all the boundaries away. Those boundaries have to stay. As you know, they have to be a permanent part of the child's surroundings. But it does mean that we respond differently to the behavior. If we think that a child is doing this on purpose, we get angry, we get frustrated, we want to punish the child, we want to control them. But if we realize that they're behaving this way because they're struggling on the inside, we become curious. We're like, what is going on? And we try to create an environment around the child that will give compassion and guidance and give them the support that they really need. And this is part of true education. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper into the nobility of a child. So in school, so right now, our school, we're on our long holiday right now. We follow the American system. So we have just finished, I'm a special education teacher in grade 6, and we've just finished our grade 6 year. And then the students I worked with all year are now going to move to grade 7 in August. So in our school, we have special education teachers from grade 1 to grade 12. And at this point in the year, we have a group of children which we call our caseload that we work with, and we pass them on to the next teacher. So I'm going to pass my caseload on to the grade 7 teacher, and I will get the caseload from the grade 5 teacher. So when children are coming to me, some come with labels. Some teachers might say, this one is lazy, that one is rude, this one doesn't care, so don't, they don't care, so don't care too much, right? But the problem with this is that a label becomes a story, and then you see that child through the perspective of that label. If we believe a child is lazy, we're going to say, yeah, there's that avoidance behavior I heard about. If we believe a child is disobedient, we see them as defiant. If we believe a child doesn't care, we say, it's just this attitude they're giving me all the time. But we have to look beyond the labels, and we have to look at a child more closely, and we have to know there's always more to the story. The child who seems lazy may be overwhelmed, and they may not know where to start their work. The child who seems rude may be anxious, and they may be trying to protect themselves. The child who does not care may actually care so much that they would actually rather look careless than look like they're incapable. The child who's always angry may be carrying shame, fear, sensory overload, or a feeling of being misunderstood. The child who's constantly seeking attention may be seeking connection in the only way they know how, because they're not getting that attention from people around them. The child who refuses to do homework may not be refusing the task, but avoiding the sense of failure because they don't know how to do it, or it's too hard for them. And that's why we have to be very careful with labels when labels are placed on children. But if we believe this child is struggling, because they do. For example, in our school, I work with, just in grade 6, out of 100 students, 27 students were on my caseload. We work with a large number of children, and they're with us because they're struggling. And if we get that story that this child is not lazy, is not disobedient, but this child is struggling, then we start looking for what's underneath. We start looking for a skill that's missing, or we start looking to see what is too hard for them. What are they trying to avoid? And what are they trying to communicate with us through their behavior? From a Baha'i perspective, this is really important because we're asked to look at human beings with dignity. So we already know that we're all noble, children are noble beings, and we have to treat one another, especially children, with dignity. We're asked to see the potential of each child, not just focus on the outward behavior. And we're asked to educate the child in a way that will draw out their capacities. So, in the Baha'i faith, there is a quote, regard man as a mine rich in gems of inestimable value. Education alone can cause it to reveal its treasures and enable mankind to benefit therefrom. So, if we're standing at a piece of ground that is in the future going to be a mine, what does it look like? It's just ground. There's nothing. You have to make effort to dig inside, find the amethysts and the tanzanites and the diamonds and those things, mine them out and bring them out. It takes effort. And children, this is what I must do to children as well. Those gems are the capacities and gifts that each child has. And it is our duty as parents, as teachers, as relatives, as a community to find these gems within each child. Children are not born knowing how to regulate their emotions, to manage their frustrations, to control their impulses, to apologize sincerely, or choose long-term goals over immediate comfort. This is something they still need to learn. And just like reading, writing, math, all those things, it takes time to learn these skills. It takes practice. It takes modeling. Modeling is someone showing them how it's done properly so they can learn. It takes repetition and it takes support. We would never tell a child, I taught you subtraction yesterday. Why are you still making mistakes today? Like if we just take the example of math, a child, even before they start school, they're already learning how to count. And they're still learning in university. This one is going to university, she's going to do math. Math is something that is repeated and repeated and repeated so much. But it's the same with emotional and behavioral skills. It's the same. Because we hear parents say, I already told you not to shout. We've already talked about this before. You should know better. And the famous one, how many times do I need to say this? The answer is many, many, many times. Not because the child is bad or they're trying to exhaust you, but because the skill is still developing and it takes time to develop the skills. This is especially true for children who are neurodiverse, which means autistic, ADHD, anxiety, learning differences, highly sensitive, anxious, impulsive, introverted, or easily overwhelmed. They may understand something when they're calm, but they may not be able to access the skill when they're stressed. Now, this is something really important because as human beings, we are physiologically it's not possible for us to learn when we're stressed. Because the area of the brain called the amygdala, which is in charge of survival, that's the one that gives out the hormones, the fight or flight hormones. When that's activated, when a child is stressed, the prefrontal cortex shuts down. And that's how we are. That's how we're made. So if a child is stressed, and you're shouting at them and they're seeing everyone do the work so easily and they're struggling, there's a high level of stress. This area, which is in charge of memory, logic, and learning, is not working. So when they're stressed, and you've taught them something 20,000 times, don't hit your sibling when you're stressed, it's gone. It's not there anymore. The memory is gone. The logic is gone. When they're stressed, they still aren't able to regulate themselves. And this is another thing we will repeat a few times. When a child is having a tantrum, when they're under a lot of stress, that's not the time to teach them things. Because they can't learn. You're just wasting your time, right? And you're frustrating yourself and the child. So teach them when they're calm. So remember, we're correcting the behavior while remembering the nobility of the child. The behavior may need guidance, but the child needs dignity. Now we're going to talk about how children are different. As adults, we expect children to be like we were when we were children. Or if you have one child, you expect the other one to be the same. Or we think they should respond in the way we think. We have expectations of kids. But every child has a very different nervous system. Some are very social and expressive. They process by talking. They like noise. They like movement. They like groups. They like activity. Some children are introverted. They may have an amazing imagination, an amazing world that they live in, but they're very quiet from the outside. They observe before joining a group. They need time. They process quietly. And they may feel very drained through social interaction. Some children are sensory seekers. They need movement, they need pressure, sound, touch, and activity to feel regulated and balanced. Some are sensory avoiders. You know the tags on the back of your shirt or the seams here? It's too much for them. Noise, light, clothing textures, smells, crowds, or unexpected touch can overwhelm them. It's too much for them. Some children are very quick to react. Those are the ones that explode quickly. Some children shut down when they're stressed. They become silent, still, withdrawn, or disconnected. Some children are anxious. They need reassurance. Some need clear routines and boundaries. Others need flexibility. Some need words. Some need silence. Some need closeness. Some need space. Now, in families, it can get very complicated because your children may be very different. One child may love family gatherings. The other one may find them exhausting. One child may respond very well to boundaries and clear, firm instructions. The other one may hate it and they may feel ashamed. One child may finish their homework quickly, and the other may just sit in front of it for 2 hours and not do anything. One child may be able to put a screen down and carry on with their life, and the other one, their world falls apart when that screen goes away. And this is why in families, fairness does not mean the same as sameness. Children do not all need the same support. They need the support that will help them grow. One may need more structure, one may need emotional reassurance, one may need movement, one may need quiet, and one may need help putting their feelings into words because they haven't developed that vocabulary yet. And treating your children differently is not favoritism, it's giving them what they need. In special education, we often say that behavior is communication, and also a child is showing behavior through their bodies. They're communicating through their body. A child who storms away and slams doors may be saying, I'm overwhelmed, it's too much for me. The child who refuses may be saying, I don't know how to begin my work. The child who jokes constantly, did you all have a class clown when you were in school? Usually that class clown is the one who doesn't know how to do the work. So they would rather distract the whole class and make everyone laugh and stop everyone from doing the work because they don't know how to ask for help, but they don't want people to know that they're struggling with the work. The child who seems indifferent may be saying, I've already decided I'm going to fail, so I'm not going to bother. And when we understand that children are wired differently, we stop asking, why can't you just be like your brother? Or why can't you listen the first time I say something? Instead, we should ask, what does this specific child need in order to succeed? All right, so now we've mentioned children are noble, they have to be treated with dignity, and they're all different. So what can we do? How do we treat them? So I'm going to mention 3 really important things that we need to do in our day-to-day life. The first one is to know your child, deeply know your child. The second one is to prioritize connection. The third one is to support them in ways that they need it. So knowing your child, it sounds simple, and we know our child, but we have to really know your child. You have to know, and you have to start noticing what helps them, what overwhelms them, what motivates them, what shuts them down, what makes them feel safe, and what makes them feel ashamed. And also you have to ask yourself, when does my child struggle? Is it in the morning when they wake up? Is it when they come home from school? Is it at bedtime? Is it when they have to start their homework? After they're finished watching a screen? When they're being compared to somebody else? When they feel rushed? And also the other side. When is my child at their best? Is it when they're having a one-to-one interaction? When they're outdoors? When they're moving? When they're listening to music? When they're given choices? When they're allowed time to think? I'm going to come back to this. This is processing speed. When they feel useful? When they're helping somebody younger or older? Or when they're creating something? Now this processing speed, all of us here have a processing speed, right? Some of us, when we're asked the question, need time to digest the question and then formulate an answer. In schools these days, teachers seem to think that the minute that they ask a question, the child has to respond immediately, otherwise they don't know. They haven't learned their work, they haven't done their homework, and this is really hard. So in our school, what we tell teachers is that children need think time. They need time, firstly, to understand what you're asking them, and then to dig out that information. So processing speech, some children do really well when they're given a chance, given time to answer. And you could also give a warning. Say, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to ask you a question, but first I'm going to ask her. And you have time to prepare. Sometimes we spend so much time correcting children that we forget to study them. But every child gives us clues. A child who always has a tantrum after school may be exhausted from holding it together all day. Now, some children, especially neurodiverse children, many feel that they cannot be themselves at school. So they mask or they pretend to be someone else at school. They pretend to firstly look and dress like everyone else, act like everyone else, understand the jokes, have the same interests, but it's not them. And when they come home from school, they're exhausted because they've been someone else all day. And at home is finally when they can just release it. And sometimes you see big tantrums, they need quiet time, they start crying. It's just a big release because it's been a tough day. A child who argues every time they have homework might just be afraid that it's too hard. A child who becomes angry when a younger sibling touches their things may not be selfish, but they may need help with boundaries. A child who spends too much time on screens, don't call them addicted, but the screen might be doing a job for them. It might be giving them escape from a very hard day, stimulation, control because they haven't been able to control their environment, comfort, or connection. Because once again, they're not getting it from the environment around them. So let's talk a little bit more about screens. If screens are helping a child calm down, taking that screen away is not helping the problem, and you're going to have a very big conflict on your hands. So you have to teach the child other calming tools. So you have to know that what job this screen is doing for the child. So if it is calming them down, teach them other calming techniques. Drawing, reading, talking to somebody, listening to music. If screens are helping a child avoid loneliness, then you need to help your child make new connections, real people that they can speak to. If screens are helping a child avoid failure, then we need to make real life tasks more manageable for them. Knowing your child also means knowing their strengths. Are they kind to animals? Do they notice when others are sad? Do they build things? Do they remember details? Do they have a strong sense of justice? Are they funny? Are they thoughtful? Are they persistent when they're interested in something? Are they protective of their siblings? Are they creative? Are they always honest? And sometimes the qualities that as parents and teachers we find hardest in children are actually going to make them the amazing adults that they will become. So a child who's very strong-willed may become a very courageous adult. And these are our activists and the explorers in the world. A child who's very sensitive may become a very compassionate adult. These are our doctors. A child who argues all the time may have a very powerful sense of justice. These are our lawyers. A child who asks endless questions may have a searching mind. These are our scientists. And they become that amazing scientists because they were allowed to develop this capacity to question everything. It wasn't tamped down. A child who feels deeply may one day comfort others deeply. And these are the therapists and the counselors. Our task is not to crush the intensity, but to guide it in the right direction. Knowing your child allows you to parent and educate the child that's in front of you, the child God has given you, not the child you thought you would have or others think that you should have, the child that you have been given. Now let's talk about connection. Connection is very, very important, which just means spending time with your child. Children need to feel seen. They need to feel heard. I know before we used to say children should be seen and not heard. None of that. None of that. They need to feel seen, they need to feel heard, and they need to feel important. And this is not a luxury. This is not something that waits until after the homework is over, after the chores are done, after you have corrected their behavior. This should happen all the time. And connection builds the foundation that makes everything else easier. When children do not feel connected, they're going to seek that connection. in ways that is not going to make you happy. They're going to become friends with people who are going to give them that connection out there, and the ending may not be so wonderful. And also, people give labels to these children. This child is attention seeking. But that's really wrong, because human beings need attention. Attention is very, very necessary. Children need to know that they matter. And sometimes when a child doesn't get attention, then they start behaving negatively. And because that negative attention is still better than being invisible to somebody. A child may interrupt, they may provoke you, they may argue, they may refuse to do things, because those behaviors bring adults closer. And an angry adult is better than no adult. So one of the most powerful things you can do to your child, as teachers, as parents, as relatives, grandparents, all of those things, is to give a child positive attention before they have to seek negative attention. And how to do this? You spend a period of time with full attention on the child. Put your phone away. Don't correct them. Don't teach them. Don't question them. Just be with them. You could say things like, show me what you're building. Tell me about your game. Come and sit with me while I make tea. I want to hear one good thing and one hard thing about your day today. I missed you today. I love watching how your mind works, and most of all, I'm so glad you're in this family. Connection doesn't have to be long, but it has to be real. Don't pretend to do it genuinely. Even if it's a short time, it has to be real. Some children connect through talking. Some connect through play, if you join them in their play. Some through humor. You could watch a funny show, tell jokes together. Some through helping. You helping them helping you. Some will just be happy to sit quietly beside you. Some will connect through movement. Some through food, cooking food, eating food. Some connect at bedtime. And this is an important point I want to make, because if you know your child opens up at the end of the day when everything calms down at bedtime, don't say, no time, don't ask questions. This is not the time. It's past your bedtime. You won't wake up in the morning, right? Plan your day so that there is time for connection before they go to sleep, right? Give them half an hour, 20 minutes, or whatever they need. Leave time for calm connection. If that works for them, connect with your child and give them what they need. Some children, like introverted children, may connect in the car because they don't have to make eye contact. And also those introverted children, sometimes when they come home from school, they're not ready for 20 questions. They just need time. And you know your children, so you know what they need. For those children, instead of asking questions, just let them know that you were there, and whenever they're ready, they can open up. And also, connection also matters very much when a child is angry. Now, when a child is angry, we want to run away. Their behavior is pushing us away. But it's really important to stay calm and to stay close. Not overwhelmingly close, but in a way that the child realizes they're not being abandoned. And I know, once again, time out used to be a thing. If their behavior is bad, go to your room, close the door. But that doesn't help the child, because it doesn't help them feel that when my behavior is bad, I am still loved. And that's what they need to know. You can say, I'm here, you are safe, I won't let you hurt anybody, and we will work this out when you are calm. Okay? Because remember, we don't teach children anything when they're stressed. This communicates that you love them, and also that there are limits to their behavior. Connection does not mean that you give in to them and let them do whatever they want. It means that the child knows, when my behavior is not okay, my parents will still love me. They're still going to be close to me. And this is one of the best feelings that there is for a child. That no matter what I do, I will still be loved and they'll still be close to me. Supporting them in different ways. Some adults think that support means to do the job for the child, but that's not support. Support doesn't remove growth, it makes growth possible. Support is the bridge from where the child is now and where they need to go. A child who cannot start their homework does not need a lecture about responsibility. They may need the task broken down for them. The child who has a big tantrum when screens go away may not need a punishment, but they may need a task to do afterwards that is fun. It isn't going straight from screens to bedtime. A child who hits a sibling may need a firm boundary, but also help them repair it. Another way to support children is what we mentioned, be physically close. Our presence, your presence as a calm adult regulates the child. And also, because we know our children so well, we know when things are difficult for them. Some children find homework very difficult. Be close. Some children, when they have to put their screens down and do something else, is very difficult. Be close. And you being close can make a very, very big difference. The messages that they're getting is, I'm here, your parent is here. Another way is to reduce the size of the task. So for example, a few weeks ago I counted, when you say clean your room, that's 20 different tasks. And you can, instead of saying go clean your room, you break it down. Say, go collect all your clothes, put them in the basket, then come back. And then you give them the next task. Instead of saying do your homework, you can say, let's open the book, do the first question together. This is modeling, showing them how it's done. And instead of get ready, you can make a little checklist for them with pictures. Brush your teeth, put on your clothes, eat breakfast, get your shoes. Now, this might seem to you, and also, I've been a mother, and sometimes you think, I'm going to be doing this for them until they're 40 years old. But it isn't that way. When you slowly teach them and support them through these day-to-day things, you are helping them build independence faster. And they will learn how to do it properly without that independence. Independence will come, even though sometimes it feels like it'll take a long time. Another way to support them is to offer choices, because choices give children a sense of control. Do you want to start with reading or math? Do you want to sit at the table or on the floor? Do you want help now? Or do you want to start for 5 minutes on your own and then call me when you need it? Do you want to write it yourself, or do you want to say it out loud and I can write it for you? So it helps them with the control. Something in life that they can control. Another way is transitions. Now, as adults, some of us also struggle with transitions. When you're busy doing a job and you have to move to another job, for some of us, it can be very difficult. And this is what children have to go through at school. They do reading for 45 minutes, math for 45 minutes, or an hour or whatever. They keep moving to the next thing. And for some, it's very, very difficult. But the most difficult thing is to move away from that screen. Because screens, as we know, they're colorful, they're bright, they're entertaining, they're stimulating, and they're wonderful things. They're wonderful. But to move away from that screen, if you say, and when we compare real life to that screen, real life is very slow and very boring. So don't say, put the screen down and go to bed, put the screen down and do homework, because that is just too hard for some children. But have a transition activity, have a snack, or listen to a favorite song, or have a connection with a parent, or something that's still fun to move them away from the screen and to transition them to whatever, bedtime or homework or whatever they need to do. And also really important, tell the child before they start watching how it's going to end. So if they can only watch for 30 minutes, before they pick up that screen, say, you can watch for 30 minutes, then the screen goes away. Or you can watch one episode. Because if you haven't said it and they're engrossed, and you can say, okay, time's up, that's very hard for some children. Support also means teaching repair. So if they make mistakes, we all make mistakes, they will make mistakes, they might hit someone or throw something, and you call them and say, come say sorry, they will say sorry just to get it over with. But that's not enough. Teach them to repair it. When they're calm, ask them, what happened? What were you feeling? How do you think that person you hit felt? What can you do differently next time? Teach them when they're calm. Okay, last one. So when we think about the challenges of education, especially for children who struggle, we remember these three things. Know your child. Don't only correct them, study them. Notice their patterns, their needs, their strengths, their fears, most importantly, their gifts. Secondly, prioritize connection. A child who feels seen, heard, and important is much more able to learn, to cooperate, and to grow. And they have a much higher sense of self-esteem. Thirdly, support them in different ways. Support is not weakness. Support is the bridge that helps a child access the skill that they don't yet have. And remember the nobility of the child. A child who is angry, struggling with screens, fighting with their siblings, avoiding homework, this child is still noble. The child who seems lazy, disobedient, or careless may actually be discouraged, overwhelmed, anxious, ashamed, or needing help. Remember, they are not giving us a hard time, they are having a hard time. And our role as adults is not only to manage their behavior, but to educate the soul, guide their character, support their nervous system, and help them discover the capacities that God has given them. And this is one of the hardest jobs in the world. It's not easy. It requires patience, humility, consultation. So speak to people, speak to teachers, speak to other parents, speak to people who know. And you're required to keep learning as an adult. Because when we educate a child with dignity, with connection, with structure and love, we're not only helping that child connect at home and school, but we are ensuring that that child will be part of a better world and will make the world a better place. Thank you. Sorry, that was a bit long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shekufeh. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.
Thank you so much for the talk. I really enjoyed it, and it was very poignant, and it related a lot to what we're going through as a family. For context, we have a 7-year-old boy, and I wish we could have gone more into what support looks like with real world examples, because I find that there's almost a dichotomy between supporting your child to make sure that like transitions are smooth and they know what to expect and that they don't have moments of breaking point. And then, but then also it's almost like the more that I provide that support, I almost spoil them from knowing what the real world is like. And so I find like, for example, like I don't go grocery shopping with my children anymore because it's very difficult. You know, like they don't like to stand in line and wait for us to pay at the till. And I have to say no to a bajillion things that they want to buy as well. So I just order stuff online. But then they're never getting that experience of actually grocery shopping with mom and realizing that it can be like a connection time for us as well. So like the more that I kind of set up life to be smooth or take away the frustrations of life, I feel I also spoil my child to not realize like how to live in the world.
But just answering the question about the example, the shopping example, because you don't go from 0 to 100, right? You can take one child to buy 3 things, right? You don't have to do the whole week's shopping and fill up the trolley and see all those bajillion things that you have to say no to, but just control it and start and take really small steps. So we're only going to the fruit and vegetable shop because there's no toys, there's no chocolates, there's and tell them this is a shopping list. Your child's 7 years old. They can maybe they can identify some letters. They can tick it off. This is a shopping list. You and I, tell me what mommy needs. If he needs bananas, go get the bananas. 3 things: bananas, oranges, apples, whatever. Tick them off. Help them. I guess we pay by card these days. There's no change, but get them involved in the process, and then they're interested, right? And just build it up slowly. Build it up really slowly.
There's a flaw in that argument. It's chocolates.
Sorry. But just baby steps, because I know that even my 19-year-old right now, that weekly shopping is too much. Sometimes it's smaller steps that are better. Sorry for you.
Yes. Yes, hi everyone, I'm Jasmine. So I just want to start with a comment, a very beautiful comment. You spoke beautifully. You know, you were worried that it was a lot of information, but somehow you did find a way for it to be digestible. You know, and I would take what I'm saying, you know, well, because I'm in a space where I'm very overwhelmed myself. I'm a bit neurodivergent myself. So I was able to digest your information really, really well. So thank you for that. My question really is, so I have a 1-year-old. I don't have yet a child who's old enough, but I am very curious about how early these sort of concepts, how important it is, like how early do you need to start being, you know, mindful of these things? Because I found it very interesting that with my daughter, I've already been able to pick up her personality. I didn't know that a 1-year-old could be an extrovert or an introvert, but she's very, very extroverted, like, you know, her mom. So at least it's clear where it's coming from. But when you mentioned, you know, knowing your child and their needs and where they, you know, where do they thrive and where do they struggle, it's been very interesting to know, even just with her, she's most happiest when she's leaving the house. You know, she was supposed to go to nursery when she was 3. But then we noticed, like, I don't know how we noticed this, but we could just tell she was craving human connection. And I didn't know that it can start from such an early age. So I'm very curious for you to confirm, you know, just how early are these 3 pillars that you, how important is it? You know, how early do you have to be mindful of these things?
I think there are a lot of parents in the room, and I think you will agree that sometimes from the first days, that you'll be able to see the personality of the child, no? That you can tell what kind of child this is. And they tell you, but you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
You can't have a preconceived notion in your mind and say, my child is going to be this. No. You just have to stand back and watch them and just observe and see. But I think right from the start, no? Mummies and daddies, right from the start, right? You tell me. I think even
They ignore it sometimes. I think I want to ask something once you're done with this one, which is related to that. Once you're done with this one.
No, okay. Yeah. Even at 1, it's coming loud and clear.
Yeah, it's really interesting how much of a personality she's developed. It's really, really fascinating. But like you said, you know, being a parent requires so much patience, and you have to be selfless. But at the same time, you have to pour into your own cup so that you can pour into theirs. You know, me coming here was me pouring into my cup so I can pour into her someday. Because I don't know how she'll turn out, but I think any little thing that we can learn is very, very important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Auntie Azani Ben Charles.
I really enjoyed your talk. It's been a long time since I left high school. But I was just thinking, you know, in high school, they give you so many subjects to study and learn. Why isn't parenthood one of the... The lady that was my prenatal partner, we were doing exercises, and she became my best friend. You know, we spent so much time, we learned so much, you know, do this and that. At least during that time, such sort of education should be offered. I mean, generally, a lot of people read books, a lot of people watch things and all that. But it should, I think, because it's just part of the societal building and educating people to just have hints. If you see this or that and that, to have Dr. Daniel Jordan in San Diego. I mean, he unfortunately he died, but he was teaching that the child's education starts from the womb of the mother. So there's, I think, somehow this has to be built into the education system. They say parents are the only group that without any training have to do the job.
No, my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for that great program. Thanks for saying the independence will come.
I know. I've had many of those thoughts myself. And you're amazed at the end. Amazed.
So, so my comment is similar to what she was saying, that they are so different. But a lot of the tools that they give us kind of force us to put them through this. What do they call it? This like it's to fit them into a box, you know. So I have 3 kids who could not be more different from each other. They are so different from each other. My son, just like her daughter, at 17 months, 16 months, was just desperate to get out. She keep you got going through the mall. He's greeting everyone. He's running off. He wants to meet people and so on. So we took him to school at 17 months, and he couldn't have been happier. Happy to go. His mom was in tears. He didn't even look back. And then we thought, 17 months is a good time. Montessori system starts at 18. So my daughter, when she was 8, we took her in as well. And she was absolutely miserable. And we kind of ignored it. You know, we thought, she'll be fine. She'll grow into it. She'll figure it out. And she was absolutely miserable the whole time through her free school education. And when she started grade 1, she was, we took her to a psychologist because she was really, really struggling. I mean, she started grade 1 during COVID. Then they had the online classes, and the first day the teacher appeared on the screen, she burst into tears, and she refused to engage, you know. So by that time it was a bit too late. We kind of just we'll have to figure it out while she's in school. But she's had a journey and a half through her primary schooling. She's getting there now, and it's been a lot of things. We've been to occupational therapy. We've been to a lot of things to just get her there. She's very sensitive. She's one of those people who freaks out if you like
Unexpected touch.
yeah. Unexpected touch, any loud noises, whatever. She's very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. Anyway, and then the third one is a complete extrovert. So now here's my question. The 2 of them are quite close in age, the 2 girls. So there's the aspect of what the parents need to do. But I'm quite interested in how we help them also relate to each other, because they are so different from each other, and they love each other, they play together, but there are times when they really don't understand each other. Like this one does not understand why this one bursts into tears so easily. This one doesn't understand, so this one is so rough, so, so aggressive, or, there are those misunderstandings they have between each other. And I would like to address them, or give them the tools to address those things as they grow up, rather than for them to deal with them as adults,
How old are they?
It's now 12 and 11.
Oh, so they're older.
Yeah, 12 and 11, yeah.
And have you...
They've gotten much better now, I'll say. But in the beginning, they really struggled. The competition was very heavy. Like there was a lot of competition between them, a lot of misunderstandings. Now they get along quite well, but they have their moments. So I don't know what we can do as parents to.
I think just having open conversations with the children and saying, just like, speaking to the child who's the extrovert, just like you like people so much and you want to be around people, as much as you like that, she does not like it and it exhausts her.
Yeah.
But just be having a very open conversation with all of them present, like with all 3 of them there, so that they understand that not everyone is like me, and they show compassion. And that builds empathy as well. Both for their family and for other people out there, and just keep talking about it. Just keep having open conversations with everyone, and saying, you know that she doesn't like to be touched, Just like you don't mind it, but other people will mind it. And there are people out there who will also not like it. So just be aware.
She's actually very right, if I can just add. She's actually very right, because when you say that, you remind me of what my mom did with me and my sibling. She was very opposite to me. When I was a child, I was very introverted, very sensitive. And so my sister was more extroverted. She's also opposite now, but when she was younger, she was more extroverted. And so we clashed as well. And we had a 6-year age gap. But when there were those moments where we didn't understand each other's behavior, my mom would verbally say, with both of us present, to explain, this is why she's acting like this. This is why they're acting like this. Not everybody's the same as you. And it really did build empathy, because we're really empathetic people, I like to believe. So, yeah.
And then just one more, just on the one who's really sensitive, she also has a tendency to shut down, that tether is very small, very short tether, where she kind of just shuts down. If she's affected by anxiety or whatever, you find that she can't function at all. But that happens very quickly. So also quite interested in how you build that resilience up, I believe, that in someone who's like that.
Do you want to talk about it a little bit? I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. Malaika also has her social fuse burns out.
Yeah.
And I think she's 19 now, and I think maybe you can explain and give Uncle Charles an idea. And while she's preparing for it, I think knowing that she's like this and knowing what environments were going to cause her to become like that, have a plan in place and say, when you need space, go sit in the car, or go to the garden, go take a walk. Because I know with Malaika we've done that. You can tell that it's over.
Yeah.
And then you either say, would you like to take a walk? Would you like to just give her some options? And then she'll know what to do. But she can, if you would like to just explain.
Sure. So, yeah, I was like that. I still am to a certain extent, but it is a lot better now. I also know that my sister is like that, and so it might also be a bit genetic, but I think by the time it got to me, also my mom was learning with me a lot. I think she dealt with it in a very good way also. Like what she was saying, like whenever we'd, go to, a restaurant, and there were a lot of people there, and then she could see I was struggling. She'd be like, okay, do you want to go take a walk? And I'd go walk outside. I'd go just like... And then when I was feeling better, I'd come inside. Also, I'd have these really big headphones. Like, what are they called? Like the...
They're not the noise cancelling. They're just headphones that block a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And they have smaller ones now. They have ones that aren't as big. But they have little ones that just... They didn't that noise. It's very noisy environments. It's not such a big stimulus.
Yeah. They're not electronical. Exactly. I mean, you could also use like AirPods or whatever. But I had those, and whenever I would go out to restaurants or busy places, I always had that, so that it would be something less that was overstimulating me. And then I guess, just like once you learn the ways that you can take it down and not like to get rid of the noise, space, light, to just escape from that for a bit, or to find ways that make it less, then you can manage for longer times, and then your tolerance builds. And then for me, what happened, I mean, maybe it's a different story, because when I became a teenager with like hormones and all of that, then that was like my worst. And obviously my hormones balanced out. So she might grow out of it, you never know. But it seems like a bit of a different situation. But I feel like my tolerance also, especially with doing things, has gone up very significantly. And now I can go to places without using my headphones. but I still have my things just in case if it gets too personal. So
Awesome. Yeah. So making her aware that there are options, and then why?
Just having family plans. And it could be in the car or taking a walk or a quiet room, just so she knows. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, and thank you for the discussions. You're welcome to have refreshments and continue the conversations in smaller settings.